Hi, welcome to another day with Dr. V, Burnout Expert. And today I am having an awesome chat with Lizzie, but I'll let you introduce yourself because my first question to you would be, how come you're also interested in burnout? And I know you also work as a coach, so please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Lizzie, as you said. I'm the founder of Find Your Mojo Coaching, and I help my clients to scale their business in alignment with themselves and without burning out, because I've burnt out multiple times and got out of alignment and got distracted by all the noise and information that's out there. So I'm really passionate about helping my clients scale their business in their zone of genius, whilst maintaining balance in their life, in their health, in their relationships, so that they can have the business of their dreams that serves them.
Wonderful. And I also prefer being an entrepreneur because I like to have the freedom to organize my life so that I can fit everything in that I need to balance it. So I guess the freedom aspect is what attracts a lot of people to becoming an entrepreneur. Or what do you think? Because is that what you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's funny, what attracts us to becoming an entrepreneur is often not what being an entrepreneur becomes.
Yes.
We're attracted to becoming an entrepreneur in order to have the time freedom, financial freedom. Then we end up working more hours on our business than we did our 9 to 5. So it's funny, I think we start our businesses to have financial and time freedom, but we end up burning out because it's our baby and we want it to work and we think we have to work hard to be successful. I definitely had that limiting belief myself, which has been really hard to shift, and I'm still trying to shift it. We end up working more hours in our business than our 9 to 5. And I think we have to remember why we started our business and go back to that, because otherwise you end up having a business that you resent, which nobody wants.
Absolutely. That is so valid. Never forget why you are on this journey, and never forget the ultimate goal and all your goalposts and your celebrations along the way. Because for all the time and effort you have put in, you will have become little steps closer to where you want to go, and you should celebrate yourself regularly.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people never do that. I mean, I remember when I worked for a boss, I once hit myself on the shoulder and I said, "Well done, Veerle." And he looked at me, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, nobody else gives me compliments here, so I give myself compliments."
Yeah, I love that. Important to
Well,
celebrate and reward yourself for sure.
yeah, absolutely. If you, that's why I believe in all of the having the big goals, the 5-year plan, the 1-year plan, and divide what you want to do in manageable little pieces, weekly goals, daily goals, and then it's not so overwhelming. Because if you don't know how to organize yourself and you don't have a boss telling you what to do the whole time, I think a lot of people waste time on things that are not essential, and that's why they work so many hours. And then also the overwhelm of having so many things to do. If you don't write it down properly and schedule it, I think your brain just gets an overload, and then you can't sleep at night because your brain keeps on saying, "Hey, wait, you forgot this. Oh no, you forgot that. Oh no, you forgot to call that person." And that's one of the reasons people don't sleep well. So I believe in writing everything down. Then your mind knows, okay, she won't forget because she's written it down. I can relax now.
Yes. Yeah, prioritizing is so important for sure.
Yeah.
It's key.
And what did it feel like for you to have burnout?
Oh, wow. It felt like I had no energy. I had no motivation for my business, kind of a tight chest. Things just weren't as fun anymore. I wasn't enjoying moments of my life as much, moments with my boyfriend or with family or things like that. I guess I just felt out of alignment. And that's why I think it's really important to when you are burnt out, or you're getting towards that stage, or you just don't feel in alignment with yourself, to return to self and get back in connection with self, which can be done through meditation, self-care. And I think we should have an element of self-care in every day, even if it's
Yes.
a minute of like gratitude, you know,
Good.
when you're in the shower. Isn't it amazing? I interviewed somebody on my podcast called Rosemary Cunningham, who's amazing, and she's a coach, and she was saying, even in the shower, just say to yourself, isn't it amazing that hot, clean water comes out of the shower head? Isn't it amazing that there's pipes underground that give me this water? Isn't it amazing that I get to clean myself with hot, clean water? Just simple things like that. Or lying in bed, you know, I'm so grateful for my pillows, how comfortable my bed is, how amazing it is that I have a comfortable bed. We can literally be grateful for everything in our lives. And I think that connection to self, gratitude, can really help with that, as well as quietening the mind through meditation and journaling. I find a really cathartic, rewarding experience, which I recommend my clients to do, and they get tons of results. And that you can do intuitively whenever you're feeling overwhelmed or just too many thoughts racing around in your head. Just grab a notepad and free write and just write down whatever's coming to mind. I think a big thing for me I know you haven't asked this, but in overcoming burnout is the idea of surrendering. Surrender's definitely surrender and willingness, return to self, self-compassion, following my intuition and going with the flow no matter what. That has been the most powerful transformation I've ever gone through. And I want everyone to go through that, but without the burning out. You know, it's a shame that we sometimes have to reach rock bottom to climb back up again.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people go through that. It's like part of maturing in a way, to go through the night of they call it the dark night of the soul, usually around your 40s. It happens to many people. But I really liked how you described the way you experienced burnout, because it's exactly the way I find it in my clients. The exhaustion, the not sleeping well, not feeling low mood, and not having good relationships with the people that could be your support system, and not having fun anymore. I think those are really common signs that I see in my clients who present with burnout. And unfortunately, sometimes they come later, while they already had a relationship breakup, where they were already fired because they were not performing at their work, or maybe their business went broke because they were not putting in the efficient work they were supposed to be putting in. So that's late stage, and we agreed that it would be better if we can get people a little bit earlier to recognize the early symptoms, so we can teach them how to balance their life in a fun way and aligned, as you say, with their true self.
Yeah.
So that it's more of a smooth ride, and that they don't have to go through the darkness that we went through. Both of us have experienced burnout, and I don't wish it upon anybody else. Now my second question is, when you have clients with burnout, in my opinion, they're not always aware that they have burnout. What is your experience on that? How do people, because most people don't know, do they? Or do you think they recognize it?
I mean, that's the most frustrating thing. And I've had anxiety in the past, and you think, what's wrong with me? And we almost want to diagnose ourselves, because once you've got a diagnosis, you can kind of get clarity and find a solution. And that's what we're striving for. But yeah, I would say a lot of people don't recognize it as burnout. They think that they're just exhausted, or they're tired, or that it's not. I think a lot of people fail to realize that it's from your own doing, and it's actually you chose to invite and welcome burnout into your life. And I know that's pretty brutal for people to hear, but you didn't have to burn out. And that's the exact same for me. And that's brutal for me to hear. You know, I chose to be burnt out. I chose to prioritize my business over my health and my relationships, when in fact, your business is meant to feed your health and relationships, and vice versa. They're not. We view this triad in isolation, but it doesn't have to be that way. I think we need to change our approach and stop. I think because when you work a 9 to 5, and I see a lot about kind of the 9 to 5 mindset versus the entrepreneurial mindset. And when you work a 9 to 5, it's very kind of split, you know, this is my work and this is my play. And I agree with that, because I agree with boundaries, but I think don't take it as far as thinking that like my business is entirely separate to my relationships and my health, you know, because you should be talking about your business with your friends and your family. You should be celebrating your wins with them. You should be talking about your struggles and challenges with them. It doesn't just have to be with people in the entrepreneurial space. It can be with your friends and family too. So yeah, I think that people definitely fail to realize that they're burnt out. And I think there's still a lot of shame around it, because I had shame around being burnt out, because I thought, have I even worked, like, do I deserve to be burnt out? Have I even worked hard enough to be burnt out? Which just sounds ridiculous when I say it now. And there's obviously a lot. Our society breeds us to, you know, work hard, and which is why many of us have the limiting belief that you have to work hard to be successful. And I certainly am still overcoming that belief. So we think that burnout isn't, you know, why should we be burnt out? We're meant to be working hard. But when your body is rejecting that, and like you said before, the hormones in your body are out of alignment, and it's showing signs to you that, like, those red flags, that you need to check in with your body, because your body rules your mind. We think our mind rules everything, but I believe that your body is your temple, and it's where it all starts. And your mind will be telling you to, because of all your limiting beliefs, and your subconscious mind will be telling you to, you know, work harder. You've got to be putting pressure on you, be making you feel guilty for not working, when your body might be telling you that you're exhausted because you might not be able to sleep at night. You might not be able to wake up in the morning. This is a little bit too much information. I had belly problems. I won't go into detail, but that was a sign that I was burnt out, because your gut obviously says a lot about how you're feeling. It's very much connected. So if your body then starts to tell you, that's when you know, okay, I've got to seriously address this now, because it always starts with your mind, and your body reacts later. And when your body starts to go into shutdown, whoa, you are way too far past the line. Like, the line is a dot now to you. So you've got to get back. And unfortunately, it does get to that point. And, you know, people do have health scares, and then they realize that, damn, something has got to change, and I've got to get myself back on track, which it doesn't need to. As I said, you're choosing for it to get to that point. It doesn't need to get to that point.
I love that you brought that up, that we get physical signs from our body when we don't listen, you know, when we don't treat our body properly with enough sleep, rest, recharging. Your body needs also fun and love to feel good. And if we don't give that to our body, it will scream at you louder and louder through pain or other physical signs. A lot of the people with pain that I treat, it's often an emotional block that they have, you know. And if you can go to the sore shoulder and ask, why is this happening, and what's here, what do you want to say? Sometimes it's just the body wisdom who has a message and says, like, oh, I don't want you to do this anymore, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as they realize, then we can let go and say, like, sorry, body, I shouldn't have done that. And and I will change, and I know it will be better. And then they contact me later and say like, oh, wow, I can suddenly walk up the stairs, and haven't been able to do that for 2 years, and that's after one session sometimes. So I also say the body is your temple and you should listen to it. And I only learned that after going through burnout, because I come from an upbringing where you never stop or give up. You just, until you drop, you work until you die. And I had to go to school as a child with a fever, and I was severely ill, and I still had to go to school, and they sent me back, and my mother sent me back to school. And they were like, I was never allowed to respect the needs of my body. It was always, I learned to ignore a lot of pain and signs of my body. And that's also typical for the personality types that burn out more, is the ones who have learned to detach. Somehow the mind keeps on going, and we try not to listen to the body because it's holding us back, and we don't want to slow down. So yeah, that's a big mistake that I made. And I'm sure there's some other people out there that have the same issues. And again, it comes from our childhood, what we were told on how to behave and how not to respect our body, actually. And I completely disagree with that now. But yeah, that was my journey too. So cool. Well, I wanted to ask you, if you see people with burnout, did you notice that in a certain age group?
It's difficult. I would say some people are more susceptible. I think mums are more susceptible to burnout because they often have a lot of guilt about, and not as somebody that isn't a mum has guilt about taking time away from their business because they think they should be working on it at all times. A mum has a double whammy because she's also got to fit in her family around her business, and she feels guilty. I've had clients before who are in such a catch-22. They feel guilty for spending time with their kids, not on their business. Then when they're working on the business, they feel guilty for not spending time with their kids. So they're actually not present. Sounds very familiar. Yeah. So they're not actually present in either, and they're not actually giving their all to either of those things. So I always say, be intentional. When you're doing one thing, be intentional with that. Don't get distracted by something else. And when you can apply that to anything in your life, and it just makes everything so much more clear and less overwhelming. And you have those boundaries between work and play, because as much as they feed into each other, you shouldn't blur those boundaries. When you're working, you should be intentional with that and try not to get distracted. When you're having fun and taking time out, you shouldn't be working. It's just keep those very separate. It's so important to do that, because that's where burnout comes from, blurring those boundaries. That's honestly what I believe is the main cause. So I'd say mums, because they have a lot on their plate. But I would also say non-mums as well. Like I'm obviously not a mum, and I think it's usually, like we've said before, high achievers, type A people, perfectionists who are more susceptible to burnout, because you think you have to give your all to something. You think you have to do your absolute best at something, because your whole life, that's what you've been taught by your parents. If we've achieved high grades at school, then, we are going to keep putting pressure on ourselves throughout our lives until we stop ourselves from doing that. And I've read this book recently called Unfuck Yourself, which is by Gary John Bishop, one of my favorite books. And he talks about expectations in a chapter. And he basically says that expectations take away your power and they don't serve you. And we shouldn't have expectations about things. We should just dance with the rhythm of life. And I think this is one of the best books I've ever read, and I would highly recommend it to anyone. It's super easy read. But yeah, so I'd say anyone that is committed and really passionate about their business and really wants it to succeed at the expense of everything else. But obviously now we know it can, business can be easy. It doesn't have to be hard. You can have a 6-figure business working, 5, 10, 20 hours a week. You don't need to work all the time that's been proven time and time again. Obviously, there's certain things within that, like outsourcing, delegating, which is a whole other topic, because and surrender is my mantra and word of the moment. And so many entrepreneurs don't feel comfortable with surrendering that control because it's their baby. And I totally get that. But in order for your business to grow, you have to grow, and vice versa. You have to move on. If you treat it like a baby, it's going to stay a baby. Imagine when your child's learning to walk, imagine saying, it's okay, don't worry, maybe you're just not going to be a walker. No, that's not going to happen, because we grow through life, and we have to learn to walk and talk and do all of these different things. It's the same with your business. It has to evolve. It can't stagnate. I wholeheartedly believe, if you're not growing, then you might as well be dying like a flower. You have to keep
yes
growing and
that's
learning.
That's a metaphor that I use a lot, because if you don't grow, you wither.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And that's why learning new things and exploring new ways of working, for me, it's fun to try new things. But then again, my character is not scared of change. So it's not the same for everybody, of course.
Mine
but then again,
either.
people who don't like change and adventure like we do, they probably don't become entrepreneurs.
True.
So yeah, it's definitely it's actually a very, very nice group of clients you have, entrepreneurs. I can relate really well to them. While for me, because I work in the NHS, I mainly see nurses, and they have a completely different mindset. They are interested, like very carefully footy interested in personal development. But yeah, it's not the strong, like let's do this mentality. Let's get this done. I have to motivate them over and over again. And I said, please, it only takes 3 minutes to do this. Come on, you can do it.
And we've all got those 3 minutes. Like we said on my podcast, everyone's got a minute per day to meditate or to ground your feet in the earth. Like you said, Mother Nature is so powerful. Just let Mother Nature take on your struggles and challenges. And like you said, that whole you can do it mentality, I've spoken about this a lot recently, and to be honest, throughout the year I've been in business, is that I am so, and I've said this to you before, I really want to create an anti-hustle revolution, because I'm so passionate against the likes of Gary Vaynerchuk and other people saying team no sleep, here's to the no. I saw an Instagram post the other day that said, here's to the no days off crew, we see you hustling and working hard. No, you need how, especially as a coach and a service-based entrepreneur, but especially a coach, because it takes a lot of energy, it's very emotionally exhausting. You can't pour into your client's cup if your cup is empty. There's nothing to give. And it's the same with your family. Like you said, if your cup isn't full, then your clients, your family, they're not going to experience, and you're not going to experience yourself at your best. And what is the point if you're just going to, what's the point in having, it's such a limiting belief that you have to work 7 days a week and only get 6 hours sleep and drink loads of coffee and do all of these ads and funnels and all of this other stuff in order to move the needle forward in your business. No, I'm a big believer, and this is what I help my clients do. I help them to stay in their zone of genius and to leverage their zone of genius, because it's so easy to get distracted. And I've wasted a lot of time and money on coaches or programs or ads and funnels and things that aren't aligned with me and my business. when the way I was doing things before was working perfectly. So why didn't I just stick with that? Because I thought comparisonitis, that because everyone else was doing it, I should be doing it. And I just wish that I knew all of this at the start of my business. And that's why I'm so vocal and honest, brutally honest about it, because people need to hear this stuff. The gurus shout so loud about, you know, what they do and what you should be doing. Should is a word that I can't stand.
No.
But, you know, you've got to do what's in alignment with you. Otherwise, there's no point. You know, I believe wholeheartedly in mindset. Mindset's the foundation. But you do need an element of not hustle, but taking action, of course, to move things forward. But if that action is what somebody else has told you to do and it's not aligned with you, do you think you're going to get results? No, because you don't believe in it, and it's not your thing. It's not your story. So I always say, you know, find out what your story is, find out what your expertise, your zone of genius is, and leverage that to hell and back, because that's what's going to make you money. That's what's going to build your business, not what Gary Vaynerchuk or Marie Forleo is telling you to do.
I know exactly what they're doing, because I constantly get 100 emails from those guys.
Email overload. I can't bear it.
Yes. Oh, exactly.
Yes, I'm very passionate about the anti-hustle.
Yes, we're going to start the anti-hustle movement for sure.
Yes.
And yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
I would like to, I mean, I still, there's a lot of people who are female entrepreneurs who need to hear this. So if you allow me, I will try and share your information, this video, on a few Facebook groups where they hang out.
Oh, thank you.
And then hopefully that will help them, because I find this a very important message.
Thank you so much.
So you can tell me how people can contact you, or what do you offer, or
that'd be great. So at the moment I'm working with clients one-to-one on a 3-month program, which, as I said, helps you to scale your business in alignment with you, not with the gurus, and without burning out. I'm going to be launching a group program in September, which will be along the same lines, but it will be in a group setting, because I want to impact more female entrepreneurs' lives. So yeah, you can get in touch with me through social media. I'm Find Your Mojo Coaching on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Not Twitter, I don't know why I said that. LinkedIn, not on Twitter. Or Find Your Mojo Coaching at gmail.com. I also offer free discovery, strategy, clarity sessions, whatever you want to call them, which you can book in through my Calendly link in my Instagram bio. And yeah, I guess you could just find the link there. That's probably the best thing to do. I think the link is calendly.com / I think it's / Find Your Mojo Coaching / 1 hour free 1 hour coaching call. So the number 1, I just had to get it up because I couldn't remember. But yeah, I would love to speak to as many women as possible about this. If you haven't experienced burnout, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So speak to me anyway, because I'll be able to help you to prevent it. And yeah, if you have, then please get in touch, because I know how it feels and I know how I can help you. So yeah, that's where you can find me. And I also, have a podcast called Find Your Mojo, believe it or not, which your episode will be coming very soon, Veerle. So really excited for that to go live. So yeah, thank you so much for having me today. And make sure you guys check out my podcast episode with Veerle, because it was amazing, wasn't it?
Yes, yes, yes. We both have so much wisdom on the subject to share. We could probably like start thinking about the summits.
That's what I was thinking, the anti-hustle
Yeah,
summit.
yeah.
Yes, let's
Oh,
start
we need
this
to start planning it.
revolution. Yay! I'm so excited. Let's do
That would be
this.
awesome. Yes. Before I
Amazing.
end, I just want to remind the people who listen to my YouTube channel and podcast that I have a free burnout prevention online course on my Teachable School. So burnout-expert.teachable.com, and you have to become a student, and then you have access to 3 free courses and also my 6-week total life reset course. So I hope to meet and help so many people, because my mission statement is I want to save 1 million lives from burnout.
Wow.
So I'm dreaming big, because I'm really, really,
That.
really motivated to help people live their best lives, a life they love, rather than just surviving. But I want them to see them thriving and go from
Amazing.
exhausted to excited with their life again. So yeah, together we can help a lot of people like that, and I think we're doing amazing work. And it's so lovely to meet you, and thank you for coming and sharing all of your knowledge here. It's much appreciated.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And it was my pleasure. And yeah, let's keep in touch.
Perfect. Let's start the anti-hustle revolution. Woohoo!
Yay!